Welcome to Crisis in Perception.
This is where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. And today, well, we're going to talk about a feeling I think a lot of us know, especially these days. It's that feeling of despair, that heavy sense that things are just broken, maybe beyond repair. But what if that feeling, that certainty, is based on a total misunderstanding of how change actually works? We're going to dig into a book that offers a really powerful alternative.
You look at the news, and it's easy to think that hopelessness is the only sane response, right? That sense of doom can feel so certain, so absolute. But this feeling isn't just about being sad. It's what you might call a crisis in perception. It's a story we tell ourselves about the future, and it's a story that often leaves us feeling completely powerless.
Part of the problem, I think, is a myth about what hope even is. We have this idea that it's just blind optimism, this passive, feel-good belief that somehow, without any of us doing anything, it's all just going to magically work out. And yeah, that version of hope is really easy to call naive.
But what if that's not hope at all? What if that definition is just completely wrong? That's the question at the very heart of Rebecca Solnit's incredible book, Hope in the Dark. She argues that this passive, optimistic thing we call hope, it's not hope. It's a trap. True hope, she says, is something way more radical and a lot more demanding.
And here is the core distinction she makes, and it's a huge one. Optimism, that's a form of certainty. It says, hey, it's all going to be fine, which basically lets us off the hook. But hope is the complete opposite. Hope starts by admitting that we don't know what's going to happen. It's an embrace of uncertainty itself, and it's that uncertainty that calls us to act.
Think about it. Certainty shuts everything down. The optimist is certain it'll be fine, so they do nothing. The pessimist is certain it's doomed, so they do nothing. But uncertainty opens up a space. Solnit calls it a spaciousness, and that is the only place where our actions can actually have an impact. It's the field where we actually get to play.
Okay, so if hope lives in that uncertainty, this totally changes how we look at social and political change. If our actions matter in that space, what does that action even look like?
We're all conditioned to look for change on the main stage, right? We watch elections, we read the headlines, we follow the people in power. But Solnit's argument is that we're looking in the wrong place. Real, deep, fundamental change almost never starts there. It starts on the margins, in the shadows, powered by people and ideas that the mainstream is totally ignoring.
So the dark in the book's title, it isn't just about dark times. It's about these unseen places where new possibilities are being born. The real power isn't in the bright limelight. It's in the collective work that's happening just out of you.
And because we're so fixated on that main stage, we tend to miss the victories as they happen. We expect this one big, sudden, dramatic revolution. But real change? It's usually more like a slow, rising tide. It's made up of a million tiny, incremental shifts that over time completely change the landscape.
Let me give you a concrete example. By 2014, the very conservative state of Iowa was getting 28% of its electricity from wind power. Now, this wasn't the result of some big televised revolution. Nope. It was a quiet, practical, bit-by-bit shift that happened while most people weren't even watching. That's what so many real victories actually look like.
To really help us grasp this idea of slow, hidden work, Solnit gives us this amazing visual metaphor that just makes it all click.
Okay, so think about a moment of massive, sudden change that you've seen in the news. The Arab Spring, the fall of the Berlin Wall, they look totally spontaneous, like they just erupted out of nowhere. But Solnit asks us to consider that what we're seeing isn't the beginning of the story, it's the end result of years, maybe even decades of work that was happening deep underground. Her metaphor is that change is like a mushroom. For years, this huge, complex network of fungus, it's called mycelium, it's spreading invisibly underground. That is the long-term, unseen work of organizing, of shifting ideas, building communities. Then a catalyst shows up, the rain, and suddenly, boom, mushrooms, the fruiting bodies, pop up everywhere. The uprising that we see is just the final, visible proof of all that patient, hidden, underground work. This idea just completely reframes what it means to work for change. It isn't just about showing up for one big protest. It's about tending to that underground network. It's all the quiet, sustained, and often thankless effort that prepares the ground for those mushrooms to one day appear.
And this brings us right back to the core idea,
The future isn't some fixed destination we're heading towards. It's an unknown territory that we are all actively creating, right now. So that uncertainty we feel, it's not a reason to despair. It is the fundamental prerequisite for our actions to mean anything at all. It's the source of our power. It's the very foundation of hope.
So, in the end, the book leaves us with this incredible question. It's a reminder that history isn't over. The book isn't closed. It's a story that's still being written, and all of us are potential authors. The belief that we are powerless is just a story, and hope in the dark is an invitation to tell a much, much better one.
This explainer was based on the ideas in Hope in the Dark, Untold Histories, Wild Possibilities by Rebecca Solnit.
Crisis in Perception is free to watch and listen to. Supporters on Patreon help fund the research and production that make this work possible. For the full, long-form deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description.
If you enjoy these explainers, please subscribe and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.